Okay, so what I want to do now is create a sign out button component. So let's go ahead and create that. So in here, I'm going to render a sign out button component, and that's going to go in my common folder in components. So sign out button.tsx, and this will receive props. So tsrafce, and this is going to be react.fc, and the props being received are going to be here. And at the minute, we don't need the props. I'll explain why we don't need the props just yet. But essentially, we could rename this to sign out button props just for a better naming convention. But for now, I'll just keep it as props in here. So in here, what I want to do is have a class name. This will be flex call, and relative. Because what will happen is we'll have the drop down, we click on the drop down, and then we have this sign out text being shown. And in here, we're going to have two divs. First div is going to be an icon button and then a keyboard down icon. So let's import these in from Material UI. And again, this component is going to be a client component. So we're going to be using use client in here. And we need to receive this handle toggle from the parent component. So let's paste that in and destructure it from the props. And we also need open. And this is because we will have a toggle on the parent component. So we will be using use state for this. So I'll just pass in this drop types in here. So that's the first part complete. The second part is we need a drop down. So let's go into the main screen header now. In here now, we want to create a drop down. So we will be using use state in here now. So the first thing is we're going to have a use state for open and set open, which is initially false. We are also going to be having a handle toggle function, which essentially sets open to the opposite of what it was. So false to true and true to false. And then we want to have a constant of handle close. So basically this will close the drop down to false like so. So now all we need to do is pass in the relevant props in here. So open is equal to open and handle toggle is equal to handle toggle. And I also need to import this in like so. So now if I save, and we check the browser, the toggle is working. However, we now need to add a drop down inside here as a child component. And to demonstrate that the toggle is working, what I want to do is just console log open, just to see if it's going from true to false and false to true. So it's true, false, and that's just toggling like so. So just keep it as true for now. If we go into our sign out button component, so that is the keyboard down icon in here. So all we want to do now is if it is open, then we want to create a button, and this will be sign out. And if I just bring in the class name, essentially it will be an absolute position, the top of 10, bottom of 2, right of 3. And all of this styling is essentially going to make it go underneath the arrow drop down. So let's see if that works. Just finally, we just need to close the open and the brackets like so. So now if we go into here, you can see sign out pops up and it closes like that, which is working correctly. What I also want to do is instead of the and in here, I want to do a question mark. And if it is open as true, then show the button, otherwise show null. There's one more thing to do is on this button, we need to do a non-click, because when we click sign out, we should sign out from Firebase altogether. And then we also should redirect the user back to the login page. So on click is going to be sign out from WhatsApp. So now all I want to do is create this function up top here, which is essentially sign out from WhatsApp. We console log the signed out from WhatsApp in here. But essentially what I need to do is sign out. So the way to sign out is quite simple. We get access to the auth from our Firebase lib here. And then all we do is auth.sign out like that. And then we need to then redirect the user back to the login page. So router.push, and then you just do /login in here. And then we also need access to the router. So const router is equal to use router, and that comes from next navigation. And again, you could separate this into its own helper file, but we'll just keep it in here for now. That should be good enough to have as the sign out button component. So now if we go back into main screen header, we have the sign out button working here, and the rest of the component is in here. What I also want to do is have a click away listener, and this comes from Material UI. So essentially when I click away from here, which I am doing, this should set the handle close function off. So if we go back into our code, and outside of this div here, we could have a click away listener on click away to handle close. So essentially we just need to close it off now, which I will do after this div in here. And now if I save, if I click away, it closes it off. So click here, it closes it off, and you don't need to press it here as well. So that's a handy tip to use from Material UI. So that's a good one.